The filter-free diary. Uh,
Good afternoon. It's 2:19 and I gotta share something with you, and it's probably more obvious once you start thinking about it, but right now it's not obvious or common knowledge. So I want to talk about science. Hang in there. It won't be hard, I promise. But like, remember in like 3rd or 4th grade when you learned about the food chain? You know, the plankton are in the water, and a little fish comes along and eats it, and then a big fish comes along and eats that, and then a shark comes along and eats that good old food chain that you may or may not have heard of. Well, a long time ago, that was like the standard, right? Like now there's a food web, and a food web makes a whole lot more sense. But before, we did not have a food web. We had a food chain, which might explain why we've had trouble with so many invasive species. But anyways, the idea that something only eats one thing took us a while to figure out that even as humans, we don't just eat one thing. And I'll show you my salad. This is my salad, and I actually have some mushroom soup over there. Because nobody eats just one thing, right? We all like variety. Even like lizards will eat different kinds of bugs. Even little marsupials will eat different kinds of nuts and seeds, right? Nobody eats just one thing. And that took us a while to figure out, right? Because I learned about the food chain in, 3rd or 4th grade, and then by the time we got to 7th grade or so, we started talking about a food web. And it was the idea that things have a much bigger appetite. Things eat more than just one thing. And I think it's common knowledge that humans are like one of the pinnacle creatures, right? Like, things don't really eat humans. Things are getting pissed off at humans, and things are killing humans, but they're not killing them to eat them, right? Like, a moose is not going to eat a human, but it might kill one. A buffalo is not going to eat a human, but it might kill one. A lion generally doesn't eat humans, but I've heard about some attacks. Anyways, so as a pinnacle creature, if you think about it, the way the whole food chain, food web, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to call it a food pyramid. Because you have to have a whole lot of plankton to support a smaller community of fish, right? And then you have to have a whole lot of that smaller community of fish to support a bigger community of fish, right? And then you need kind of a big community of fish to support, a smaller community of sharks. So the way it works is the thing on the bottom, you need a whole lot of that. And then as you step up each level, right, you get less and less and less. And that's really what a food pyramid really is, right? Can you see where I'm going with this yet? It's a hard thing to say because I'm tired of just puking up on you guys, but I gotta say the thing. So as an apex, as a peak of the pyramid, there really should not be an overpopulated planet of humans ever, right? Because if there are 8 billion humans, then how many cows do we need? How much grass do we need? How many chickens do we need? How many eggs do we need? How many bugs do we need to feed all those chickens? How much corn and grain do we need to feed everything? Can you see where I'm going with this? The idea that there are so many humans right now logically means we're gonna out-eat the planet, right? And then the fact that some countries like America are throwing away perfectly good food because they couldn't sell it. and the reason it's like this is, yes, people have definitely raped other people and had lots of people, but in the holy book, does God not say, be fruitful and multiply? So the author of the holy book encouraged the species to get out of alignment. Does that mean God hates everything else on this planet except humans? No, of course not, because then humans would still overpopulate and cease as a species, or get severely decimated after a while when they can't feed everything. So what's up with the holy man in the book trying to tell humans that they need to multiply? Well, maybe that wasn't God that said that. Maybe that was a pollinator whose only function is to replicate and pollinate. And look where we are. Have a good afternoon.